All right, let's jump right in. There is a massive financial cliff coming for millions of Americans' healthcare, and the deadline is approaching fast. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what's happening, who it's going to affect, and what, if anything, can be done to stop it. So take a look at this timeline. It really shows you just how fast this whole situation has developed. It all started back in 2021, when financial support for health insurance was expanded. Now, today, its future is completely up in the air. But here's the date you really need to remember: December 31st, 2025. That is the edge of the cliff. It's a hard deadline, and the clock is absolutely ticking. Okay, so what are we really talking about when we say subsidy cliff? Let's dive in and understand the financial support that's, well, about to just disappear.
All right, the official term here is a bit of a mouthful: Enhanced Advanced Premium Tax Credits, or APTCs. I know. But forget the jargon. Here's what it really means. It's money from the government that makes your monthly health insurance bill smaller. Simple as that. And for millions of people, this isn't just nice to have, it's the only thing making their healthcare affordable. So where did this all come from? Well, you have to remember, this was basically an emergency measure during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was designed as a temporary fix, a way to keep people from losing their insurance during a huge crisis. But here's the catch: it was never meant to be permanent. And now, that temporary Band-Aid, it's about to get ripped right off. So if that Band-Aid gets ripped off, what's the fallout? This is where we get to the really high cost of doing nothing. And I want to be clear, this isn't just some abstract policy debate for politicians. We're talking about real-world, kitchen table consequences for millions of actual people. And the scale of this thing, it's just staggering. I mean, look at this number. If Congress fails to act, the average premium is projected to jump by more than 75%. Let that sink in for a second. That is not a small bump. For most families, that's a completely catastrophic price hike. There's just no other way to put it. But what does a 75% increase actually look like in real dollars? Let's make it concrete. Take a state like New York, for example. The average person who's affected there would suddenly have to find an extra $1,300 every single year. And that's not for a better plan. That's just to keep the exact same coverage they have right now. And this chart right here, it says it all. You can see it plain as day. On one side, you've got a manageable monthly premium, all thanks to that subsidy. And on the other side, you've got a bill that for so many families is just impossible. That huge gap you see, that's the crisis, right there in one simple picture.
So who's gonna get hit the hardest by this? It's a way broader group of people than you might think. It's not just one demographic. We're talking about middle-income working families, small business owners who buy their own plans, folks in rural communities, even early retirees who aren't old enough for Medicare yet. And of course, it really slams the working poor, who are in the toughest spot of all.
And this is a really important point. It's not just about bigger bills. The real danger here is people losing their coverage entirely. I mean, what happens when a bill becomes unaffordable? You stop paying it. People are forced to go without insurance. Just look at the numbers for New York again. We're talking about up to 450,000 people. That's almost 500,000 people in just one state who could end up with no health insurance at all.
All of this kind of makes you step back and ask a bigger question, right? Why does it feel like we're always lurching from one healthcare crisis to the next? It feels like we've been here before. It points to a much deeper flaw in the system. So let's ask it, why does this keep happening? And the honest answer is that this whole subsidy cliff, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. This isn't some random one-time emergency. It's a symptom. It's a completely predictable result of these much deeper kind of hidden structural problems within the US healthcare system. So what are these big flaws? Well, for starters, the whole system is incredibly vulnerable to political inaction and gridlock in Congress. Think about it. Instead of building permanent, stable solutions, we get these temporary patches, kicking the can down the road. This creates all kinds of inconsistency and does absolutely nothing to fix the real problem, which is the rising cost of insurance itself. It just creates this endless cycle of crisis, rinse, and repeat. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we've talked about the causes, so now, the million-dollar question, what do we do about it? Let's take a look at the actual options on the table right now to stop us from going over this cliff. From what we can see, Congress is basically looking at 3 different paths. Option 1 is the big one, a permanent extension. Just make these subsidies a regular, stable part of the ACA. Then you have the short-term fixes. You've got a 2-year extension, which, let's be honest, just kicks the can down the road. And then there's a 1-year patch, which is really just an emergency brake to avoid the immediate crash. And really, this boils down to a fundamental choice. You can go with the short-term fixes, right? They work, they provide that immediate relief, but they absolutely guarantee we're going to be having this exact same conversation again in a year or two. Or you can go for long-term reform. That creates a stability that pretty much everyone agrees we need. But, and it's a big but, it requires a level of political agreement that has been, frankly, almost impossible to achieve.
And let's just circle back to the one thing that isn't up for debate, that deadline. It is firm. It's not moving. Without some kind of action from Congress, and it doesn't matter if it's a tiny patch or a huge fix, that cliff arrives on December 31st, 2025. The subsidies just stop, and premiums will skyrocket. It really is that simple.
So, that leaves us with the one big question hanging over everything. As that clock ticks down and the cliff gets closer and closer, what's it going to be? Are lawmakers going to reach for another temporary Band-Aid, or will they finally build something permanent? The answer to that question is going to have a huge impact on the financial health of millions and millions of Americans.